Hello, it's Eric from E.M.B.R, and today we are out on the final stage of Cityscapes, Stage 4, London 8. When I looked at the pre-race signups and saw Tom Dumoulin there, kind of figured this race may not go as I had initially expected, and I was correct. And D-Tom there is, I believe, Tom Dumoulin, at least on the Zwift signups. Awesome to see him out here. But because this is Thursday instead of Tuesday, might be fewer people out here. But there's some good ones. And of course I include Dom amongst the good ones, to say the least, but I expect even besides Tom, there's some good folks in this field, so it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to commentate on this one. I'm just going to let the video play through live without any time lapse, because just the way this one played out is probably the best way to do it. But hopefully you enjoy, and here we go. Tom is off the front immediately, so. Hoping for a feather here or the next one. Really don't want to do box without a feather. Tom is definitely the engine driving the train. I don't need to understand Dutch to know Sibrin is having some fun there. And what Sibrin said was, "Tom, calm down, friend." Yeah, that's not going to happen. And Tom did settle for a second on the hill here. Maybe he was typing something back at Sibrin in the direct message, but the reprieve is brief. And we're off again. And I disagree with Luge here. I think Tom was making things infinitely better, not ruining it, but I don't think Luge knew who Tom was either, so at least not at this point. And I don't catch every chat message live. They're over in the bottom left. I'm usually watching the riders in my HUD in the center of the screen. If I'd seen that one live, I definitely would have given Tom some more positive feedback, because Tom deserves the ride as well, and honestly, I think it's an honor to ride with him. So anyways, on we go. And here we have Luge asking if we should just let him go. Of course we shouldn't let him go. I'm actually kind of surprised Sibrin chimed in that he agreed, because I've ridden with Sibrin a bunch, and I don't know, Sibrin's usually pretty game, so a little surprising there. Jeff here's got the right with the just enjoy. Agreed. You say let him go like you would have a choice when we get the box if he decides to ride. I mean, the flats are going to be a little bit harder than we expected, but you're getting to ride with Tom. I mean, I don't know. It's all goodness. I'm happy about it. Come on, feather. Oh well. Thing about races is you take what the race will give you. and it's been fun chasing Tom through the flats, but as we approach Box Hill, I know the fun is over, so going down the escalator, I'm just letting him go at this point and settling in for racing the rest of the field. Have fun, Tom. Going into this race, before I saw the pre-race start list and Tom's name on it, I kind of thought Box Hill was going to be the pinch point. Like, can I get up under 6 minutes? How's the rest of the field going to go up? Am I going to get dropped? Is that the end of it? Well, Tom turned that on its head. So we all went out a lot faster in the flats. Tom could go up pretty fast. I don't know what his time's going to be, but I just figured it's a death mission to try to follow him, which is why I sort of waved goodbye and didn't even make the attempt there. You kind of know what you're. I mean, in the proper advanced race, fine, but I'm a mortal. I'm a 50-year-old plus mortal. I'm not chasing Tom up Box Hill. So, yeah, following the field. We'll see how fast they go up. We'll see when we get to the top how fast Tom ended up going up. But different race scenario than I expected. We're just rolling with it and seeing how it goes. And here we've been going up box pretty slow, if I'm honest, like much slower than I expected and certainly much slower than I'm capable of. So noticing that the one guy here was on the Halo bike, I thought maybe give a little punch here and see if they've got the legs. You know, rather than let them lead, let me see if I can make a break here. And that's what we're doing. And I'm watching. I didn't go super hard on it. I just picked up the pace a little bit, but 1 second gap, you could see that they were game to stay on. So built a different plan, and we're settling in. And there's Tom crossing the KOM at 5:51. It's not the fastest I've seen someone go up this week, but it's fast enough, and good chance, especially after the flats were the way they were, I would not have been able to follow that. So, wise decision. And 7:02 is definitely not lighting up Box Hill in any way.
In reverse order, of course.
The laughter in the statement about in reverse order is in reference to the power up. I got arrows when I wanted feather, and now I got feather when I wanted arrow. So I have to build a little bit different plan for the finish. We're on it. But the good news is, like I said, 7:02 up Box Hill wasn't really lighting it up. My legs are fine. I think when I did PRL full, about the 10th or 11th time up Box Hill, I still did that around 7. So we're not that stressed. We're building a plan and just trying to work around the fact that I've got a feather and there's a guy on a Halo bike. We want the race over. And we want the race over before we get to the final sprint, because he's got a Halo bike. He may or may not have an arrow. I will be at a disadvantage if it gets to that point in a 400 meter sprint. So trying to work around that. Nico is the one on the Halo, and we got a 5-second gap already, so pretty happy about that. Still got luge though, and want to put some damage into him if I can as well. So as I'm going down the hill, I am watching, if you look on the right, the gap, and then also the watts per kg. Luge, he's currently at 0 watts per kg, just like I am. 1 second tailing behind. I see his dots fairly close, so I am putting a little more effort when we get to the where it's not quite as steep, trying to pick up a little bit of pace, see if I can put a little more damage in. Dots are still staying pretty close, but I can see he had to kick up just now, 7.89. Yeah, it's trying to, worst case, if he's working harder to keep the same distance and I'm not pedaling, that's a win as well. And you can see he's hitting it now. gap is growing a little bit, so I hit it a little bit hard. I'm like, no, you're not going to close and get into my draft. I want to keep space if at all possible. So pound it up, and you can see the dots are moving apart on the mini map a little bit. Gap still shows 1 second, but you know, we've established a little bit of space. He's working, or no, actually he's not working right now. That was Nico's working below him, but 2 second gap. We're building some space, so either he's gonna have to start pedaling soon. Yeah, he started. I'm already on it now as well. Again, want to keep that gap. I'm off. He's still on. And he's on pretty hard, right? For much longer than I am. So damage is being done. Even if the gap is staying fairly close, he's having to work and I am not. So I'm catching the rest. And that's goodness. Flattens out, so I'm definitely back on power now. Thinking about the escalator here, but I just want to keep the pace moving. I don't want him to get back in my wheel and have to deal with, you know, us sitting up or playing games on terms of draft when we get to the final. So if I can keep this space and him out of my wheel, that's what we want to do. Just keeping the power up. I'm over 5 watts a kilo. He's not pushing it, and again, he had to work on the downhill more, so could be a little gas. That's my hope. Gap is starting to build. We're 3 seconds north. Both pushing similar watts per kg, but he's not closing the gap. And escalator, I'm hoping, again, I don't want to hammer it too hard on the escalator, but I do want to keep the gap here. And I just noticed as I look up, there's Tommy D. I guess he just sat up at the end. You know, again, it's certainly just a training ride for him. So either he didn't want, either because of the whatever was going on before, he just decided he was going to let us finish the race. But I used the feather that I have. I figured I'm going to use it on the escalator. That's the best use I can get out of it. Hit some power on that, and yeah, Luge hits the escalator not as hard as I did and without a feather, and so all that speed gets shaved off, and you see that gap blow out pretty hard. So we got 8 seconds here, and yeah, from here on I'm just going to try to keep the pace up, try to watch that gap, make sure it stays good, and also ride for time. Fairly high up in the overall this series, not in the podium range like I was last time I competed for this, and I didn't really focus on competing for the overall too hard here, but I was thinking maybe we might be able to get in the top 10 if we could get a reasonable time. That slow box hill, even with the fast flat, that slow box hill probably put a nail into that coffin, but we're going to give it a shot and just ride it out and see where we get to. So final kilometer, gap is north of 10 seconds. I'm pretty confident he's not going to catch me at this point. Trying to keep the speed up. We're 44 kilometers an hour right now. I kick up a little bit for that reason, just to put a little more pace on it. Got us up to 46. Probably could have kicked a little bit even harder, but yeah, maybe this is just not having the bite. Maybe it's being a little gassed. But there's these little rollers here as well. That shaved quite a bit of speed off, so I'm going to try to pay attention to that. I know in the final 600 meters, there's I think 1 or 2 more rollers that you got to sort of kick over. Trying to keep the speed again north of 40, and then also where I can be cognizant of the rollers and kick some speed over those as well. If we're a bunch sprint, you'd want to kick pretty hard over this roller. I still do, just not as hard or long as we might in a bunch sprint have needed to. Maybe it's a good thing I broke them because legs are kind of burnt. And then again over this final roller into the downhill just to get some speed, knowing it's almost over.
There's nothing left in the legs, man.
North of 50 kilometers an hour. Just a second, glide across. We're golden. And there's Demas coming across about 14.5 seconds behind, and shortly behind him is Luge at 17.7.
I didn't want a mass sprint knowing my legs would probably tie up. So, tried to use advantage on the down. Tom clearly sat up, either didn't want to, he's just on a training ride, but either he'll cross the line or he did.
Now that the race is over and I finally do get a chance to type, I did want to at least give Tom a nod, not be intrusive or anything, but just, hey, it's great to ride with you. And there is a little post-race chatter. Luge is like, yeah, that first 15 minutes was silly. And Nico makes note he couldn't talk or type because he needed to breathe, which I feel that. Luge talks about the descent plan, which that strategy was effective for sure. And here Nico asked the question, was that the real Tom D? I'm pretty sure it was, but this is the funny part. I respond yes. Nico says wow, and give it a second, but the light's going to come on for Luge eventually here. And I am making note, hey, I say yes to the best of my knowledge because I've seen Tom a few times, and the way his name is in Zwift, it says Dumoulin as the first name and Tom as the second, so he shows up as D Tom. I think he's trying to be a little bit under the radar when he's riding, but I've talked to a few folks, and it's pretty sure it's the real Tom. Just the way he rides, he's not trying to make a spectacle of it. And Nico says, it's a good day, guys, and 100%. That's where my head was at the beginning of the race. It may have been a hard pace, but it's a good day when you get to chase Tom around the course. So acknowledged indeed, and wait for it. The light goes on for Luge. It's like, oh damn.
That's amazing.
It's all good. And honestly, Luge wasn't really trash talking that much during the race. He was just like, this is hard. What the hell's going on? And if you didn't know it was Tom, I get it. But yeah, the whole reason I ended up riding this on Thursday was because Tuesday I had forgotten to change to gravel bike. And about 5 kilometers in, people were hitting the flats every bit as hard as this race. And I realized I was on the gravel. And I'm like, I'm not making it up Box Hill on a gravel. So I abandoned the race. Ends up, my misfortune on Tuesday turns into great fortune on Thursday. Got to ride with Tom. So all's well that ends well. But here are the results of the race. We did get under 30 minutes. Not terrible. 4.2 watts per kilo for the race. Fairly efficient as well, all things considered. And then here are the series results after 4 stages. 13th. Kind of figured wouldn't be enough to bump me up in the 10th just given the overall pace of the race, but I didn't really target GC in the way that I did back in April, so the fact that I'm even on the front page at this point, I'll consider that a win. I did put on long sleeves, turned the fans off because I was getting ready for some zone 2 heat training, but here are the power metrics for the race.
Up to here is what sitting and drafting Tom Dumoulin's wheels looks like. Fortunately, Zwift draft is efficient, but yeah, once box was coming up, knew it was time to let go. Let go. It was time to say goodbye. That's probably more accurate phrase of what happened there. No way we're gonna chase Tom up that hill. Funny that he sat up and at the end and managed to get first, but we know who won that race if they wanted to. There's no question about that. Nice. Like, just call it like a 95% of FTP ride with bursts, but as a general average is where we ended up. So, not bad.
That's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. I definitely enjoyed riding it. Next up, Saturday, we're going to be taking on Suppress on Climb Portal. Not sure what we're going to target at. We're going to be north of 360 though. I'm positive of that, and we'll see where we get to by the end of it. But going for a PB on it. I'm trying to put as many 360 plus watt sustained efforts into the training plan as I can. Just trying to get the body used to it, maybe a little bit more than used to it, so that when we go for 360 for 20, we're ready.